everybody, it has been a few weeks since I have vlogged, and that's because we went out of town. I was on vacation in North Carolina. It was so beautiful there. Like the high was about like 75, and then I come back down to Florida and it's like 90 degrees and humid. So a little bit of a shocker, but with that said, I'm super happy to be back in my garden, and I have so much to show you guys. There's so many updates. I feel like the garden was like, wait a second, she's not looking. So let's just start growing everything. And I really do feel like if you don't look at your garden for a few days, everything multiplies. So lots and lots to show you, as well as we have expanded the garden, so there's just so many updates. Let's get to it. This tour really wraps up spring. It's the end of May, which means that summer is just about to start at the very end of May. So this is just kind of showing you exactly how far I got with my spring garden and what the plan is for the summertime. So it's a late spring, early summer garden tour. I'm sitting here right next to one of my new raised beds. I did make a video on how to build these for free. They are made out of wood pallets, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a link in the video. I'm super excited to have these. We have 3 more that we have to fill up. We just haven't had time to fill them up yet. What we did is we got another chip drop, and I filled up half of the beds with mulch and topped them off with really good compost and soil and worm castings. So we're not going to waste money on filling it with soil from top to bottom, because all of our beds are super tall, which actually is in our favor because we have a bunny problem. It just kind of helps prevent little critters from getting inside the beds. It is officially time to start harvesting tomatoes. I love when you walk out to the garden and there's like literally 5 pounds of tomatoes to harvest, and you're like, what am I going to do with all of this? Which is why I, this year, have promised myself to not let any tomatoes go to waste, whether it's from canning them, dehydrating them, freezing them. I'm not going to let any of these tomatoes go to waste. In previous years, I would just pick like 5 pounds of tomatoes and just like not know what to do with them. So this year my goal is to really learn how to do food preservation. Yes, would I love to vine ripen every single tomato? Of course. But every time I walk out to the garden, I see like a family of birds in it right now, and the more ripe that you allow them to get, the more the birds are going to be like, this is where I'm going to get all of my tomatoes. So I'm not really giving them the opportunity. I'm just going to start picking them when they're kind of like medium ripe and letting them counter ripen. What I'm doing right now is I'm starting a whole nother crop of tomatoes to go through the summer as well. So we have more opportunities for longer seasons with tomatoes. I'm not just going to rely on the tomato plants that are currently growing. I'm going to start planting new tomato plants. That way, once these ones have run their course, I have new healthy plants that are also going to be producing tomatoes. As a gardener who has gardened for many years now, my goal is to now plant something new every season. And it doesn't have to be challenging, just something that kind of inspires you every single season. This season, the new vegetable that I have planted is the spoon tomatoes. I've talked about these in past videos. They are producing so well, and the burst of flavor is amazing. I cannot believe how much flavor these little tiny tomatoes pack, and the tomatoes are like literally the size of my pinky finger, so it's really cool to just start to harvest those and see what those plants have done. So I wanted to show you guys the vertical trellis that it's actually kind of like at an angle that I'm growing my watermelons on. This is the 2nd year that I have done this, and it works so well. All of the watermelons are off the ground, and you can see which ones are growing. There's no like hidden watermelons, although right now the plant is getting so big that it's kind of growing on the ground, which is okay. But it's really cool to see these hanging watermelons, see their growth, and know that they're healthy and not being attacked by bugs. So beautiful, so stunning. My Buena Malata peppers. Look at that deep, rich purple color. You can't make this stuff up. This is the first time I have tried one of these peppers. Right now, I'm gonna just give it a try for you guys. It's definitely spicy, but really good. I'm definitely loving it. I'm not gonna try the Sugar Rush peppers on camera right now just because they're not ready, but I wanted to show you, it's really cool how they grow kind of upwards first and then they fall downwards. So that's really cool. This is the first time I've grown these, so it's just interesting to see how they're growing. I can't grow a pumpkin purposefully, but if a pumpkin plant decides to plant itself for some reason, it works out. Naturally, pole beans are a great option for your cattle panel trellises. Pole beans get super, super tall and they produce a lot. So if you want to cover up those cattle panel trellises quickly, I would definitely recommend pole beans. If you haven't watched my YouTube short on how to kind of deter squirrels in your garden, definitely check that out. I feel like it's working because since then I haven't lost any sunflower heads, and that is like a squirrel's favorite. We've got cucumbers. I was able to harvest a few days ago. I grew 2 different varieties of cucumbers. One is a Marketmore cucumber and one is a variety from Baker Creek that it says that it's from Israel. It's the one from Israel is not doing very well, and it's probably just because it might not be suited for the type of pests that we have here in Florida. Our pests are crazy here, but the Marketmore cucumbers, those are doing really well, and it seems that they're kind of withstanding the like attacks from pests much better. So that's definitely something to keep in mind based on the zone that you're in. Marketmore have been definitely holding up better to pests. Strawberries. The strawberries that I've grown have always done pretty well. The problem is that I don't have them sitting on hay or anything like that. I just haven't had time to go out and get some, and a lot of them have been rotting because of it, which is not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of my strawberry plants into the green stalk vertical planter. That way they can kind of grow over and not rot and not be sitting on soil. We have eggplant plants that are growing super well. We have some flowers. I love growing eggplants. It's kind of like a meat replacement for us whenever we want to do like a meatless meal, eggplant parmesan, anything like that. So really excited to see some flowers growing, and hopefully we have eggplants soon to follow. We have cantaloupes growing. I'm sitting right next to them. I'm trellising them on tomato trellises. I personally prefer to have all of my stuff up off the ground. Like I said before, in Florida we have lots and lots of pests, and it just makes inspecting the plants much easier, and it also gives them less opportunity to kind of drill into those plants. Yes, they can still get attacked even being trellised, but it also just, it helps you out as a gardener. I don't know what to do with my zucchini and squash plants. There are so many issues with them because of the ant problem that we have in this particular raised bed. Last year I grew eggplants in this bed and I wasn't able to get any eggplants because the ants caused such a problem. So I have to again just get creative and figure out ways to get rid of the ants organically, which is super hard to do. But that's why the plants are growing, but it's not really reproducing. So that's kind of what's going on with my squash plants. I have been able to get a few, just not as many as I would have liked to have gotten. I'm also growing my spaghetti squash vertically. Sometimes I have luck with it, sometimes I don't. I think in Florida there's just some things that you're gonna grow easier than other things, and for some reason for me, spaghetti squash has always been super hard, which is heartbreaking because I absolutely love spaghetti squash. I love cooking with spaghetti squash. It's one of my favorite kind of like low carb vegetable options, so I'm determined to make it work somehow. This is my bell pepper bed. I grew peppers in this bed last year. I usually like to rotate my crops. I feel like peppers, it's not quite as important to rotate the crops just because they're not as susceptible to bugs, but that's just my personal experience with where I'm growing. This bed gets so much full sun that it's so suited for peppers. It gets like 10+ hours of sun. So I'm growing all of my bell peppers in here, and I have my more exotic peppers in containers this year too. But the bell peppers are doing really, really well in here. here. I can't wait to have lots of bell peppers. My favorite kind of beans to eat are bush beans. They're a pain to harvest. That's why I also grow pole beans, just to cover all my bases. We have the burgundy beans that are doing so well, and also just some traditional green beans that are growing. I love how you can harvest and eat these right away. What I've been doing is I've been cataloging how much each vegetable that I'm harvesting weighs. At the end of the summer, I'm going to add it all up, let you guys know how much of a harvest that we got, like how many pounds of tomatoes, how many pounds of beans, and just all of the facts, basically. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe so that you don't miss out on that video and other awesome garden videos and homesteading videos. That wraps up this tour. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.